religion, in most religions, and in most spiritual kinds of issues is what? As you do to the least of these. And think about some of this hate speech that's going on now, and think about, is that really Christian? My point about immigration is this. Ms. Payne, do y'all study the census in this class? Have y'all studied the census?
Did. When the reports came out a couple months ago.
Okay. If you know about the census, and the census is something that is done every 10 years, and it started back with the founding fathers, and all it means is that we count how many people are here. We just went through, and it's done every 10 years, so in 2000 we did one, and in 2010 we did one, okay? You know what the results of the census says about America? We are browning, okay? We are browning. What does that say for you as 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders? What that says is the chance of you living in a segregated community is less and less the longer we are here. What that means is, even in South Carolina, there are two things that came out of the report of the census this year. America is becoming more Latino than ever, okay? 1 in 4 babies born in this country are born to Latino families. Now, you tell me, I don't know, maybe I'm still old school, but I don't see how you're going to get around people being born and becoming the majority. In South Carolina, we are growing in the number of Latino Hispanic families. I'm simply saying to you, don't get caught up in the hatred and intolerance of your parents, because you're going to be dealing, and I'm not suggesting that, please let me say, I'm not suggesting that all parents are that way. But I know, and you know, and I'm not talking about white parents. This is African American parents. This is just people, because the only important color in America is green. And if you're poor, you're going to catch hell regardless of skin type. Trust me on that. Think about it. If you're poor, you're going to catch hell. It's a class thing, more so than anything else. So I just want y'all to start opening your minds and understanding that the world you will be in charge of and where you will be in control of is totally different and will be totally different. So I'm just trying to preach a little tolerance here, and a little understanding, and a little outreach. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
How useful do you think the state's spending transparency website is?
It's crap. Now, I'm being blunt. Here's a great question. Tony said, how, and let me not say crap to y'all. Oh, well, you said it. Let me be objective here and say this. There is value in having on the state website how state dollars are being spent. And so my initial crap response was based on not just the it was based on the whole transparency, not the website. But this whole thing we're in now about transparency and voting and roll call and all that, that's crap, guys. Let me tell you something. This is an example of where I want y'all to start looking and reading between the lines, okay? 2 points. Don't come telling me about transparency if you're not going to practice what you preach, okay? Putting finances online is a great idea and is serving a great purpose. It is good for taxpayers to be able to go in on the state website and see how money is being spent. But you would be mistaken if you think what you see on the website is a total picture of how much money is being spent in state government. That's number one. Let me take your question and take it a bit to the next level and talk about transparency in what happens in the General Assembly. Roll call voting, which was a real big thing in the election. In the House, we already have roll call voting. We vote electronically on a board. there is, in the digital age, there are so many ways that you can see how your legislator voted. So I want to kind of back away from my crap response by answering your question and saying I think it's a good thing for a taxpayer to be able to go online and see how taxpayer dollars are spent. I just think we have done a disservice to taxpayers because we've got them thinking that they can go online and see how every dollar in state government has been spent, and that's not the case. Any others?
My name is Jaquarius. Why do Republicans...
So, I'm sorry, tell me your name again.
Jaquarius.
Okay, Jaquarius.
Why do Republicans refer to health care reform as Obamacare?
Now, great question, Jacarius. Let me tell you, his question was, why do Republicans refer to the Affordable Care Act as Obamacare? Because they want people confused, because they know we are in an age of low information voters. Okay? And that's a nice way of saying voters pretty much aren't the sharpest knife in the drawer. Okay? And I want to take my time to explain this carefully because this is an issue that I care very deeply about and that I am just so sad at how it has become politicized. Think about this. I've shared with you how I grew up caring about people. Since when did care become a bad word? Think about it. I'm glad Obama cared. I wish South Carolina cared. I wish Haley cared, and Harold cared, and Cooper cared, and all my colleagues that I served with downtown. I wish they cared. Because you know what would happen? If they cared really like the president, we would have in South Carolina, if they cared as the president did, we would have people who could afford to get sick and go to the doctor. But because they don't care, we have uninsured people, thousands of people in this state who don't have health care. What we do well in this country, Democrats and Republicans, is politicize an issue and play on people's prejudices and play on their fears, and all we do is keep people divided. See, when you can keep people divided, you keep them off focus, and you keep them from paying attention to the fact that A, you haven't created any jobs, B, people are still losing their homes. You know, we've got all these problems going on, but if you can direct people to hate, and I'll just be straight up with you. Unfortunately, in America, there are people in this country who will never accept the fact that a man of color is the president of the United States. It is that simple. Racism is something that people don't like to talk about because it makes us all defensive and it makes us nervous. I'm saying to y'all, learn from the mistakes of the past and understand race is the 800-pound gorilla in this room and in this country and in this state and in this community that we've got to deal with, okay? There is absolutely no reason in the world that in a country as great as this one, we've got millions of people who have no health care coverage. And this business about being forced down the throats of state government, that's not accurate. When the bill was discussed in the in the Congress, there was a healthy exchange, there was give and take, which is a part of the legislative process. And there was a concept called the health exchange. All of that grew out of the discussion with Republicans and Democrats, and Republicans wanting it to